In today's session, we are going to see the basics of Java programming language. We are going to see from the starting itself regarding what is meant by a programming language, how we can translate that programming language into a machine level language by following some steps like that. In this particular slide, you can see programming languages like Fortran, C, C++, Java, etc. That comes actually in the top level, that is high level languages. That means the language that we are writing in our own language, that is a universal language, English. After that, this will get converted into assembly language. Along with this block diagram, you can see here a flow chart. The high level languages like C, then COBOL, C++, Fortran, etc. They will get compiled by a compiler and it is converted to a assembly language program. And assembly language coding you can see here. This is how assembly language coding looks like. After that, this assembly level language will be converted to a machine level language by an assembler, and machine level language we all know it is in the form of zeros and ones. And this is actually having direct communication with the hardware part of the computer system. So all high level language will go through these procedures, then only it will get executed by the computer system after converting the high level language into a machine level language. Now, coming on to the next basic concept, what is procedural oriented and what is object oriented? We might have heard that C is procedural oriented while C++, Java, programs like that are object oriented. And object oriented is having a real world connection, like that many things we might have heard. Now here we are going to see what is procedural oriented and what is object oriented. Before getting into these class concepts or flowcharts, I'm taking you to a simple example. Here you can see a lady is withdrawing money from the ATM machine. And I'm going to explain it with two concepts, procedural as well as object oriented. In procedural, if a lady is withdrawing amount from an ATM, importance is given to the procedures like withdraw, it is a procedure, deposit amount in an ATM, that is a procedure, transferring amount through ATMs, that is also a procedure. So the procedures are only concentrated in procedural oriented programming language. The real world entities are not at all focused. But when we come to object oriented programming language, here you can see instead of the procedures, the focus is being given on the real world entity customer. What is being transferred? Money is being transferred. So money is given an importance. Next one is to where we are transferring. We are transferring to an account. So real world entities are given importance in object oriented concept. So you might have got an idea regarding the difference between procedural oriented as well as object oriented programming language. Procedural oriented always focus on procedures like withdraw, deposit, transfer, while object oriented focus on real world entities. And that is what is depicted here. This class attributes operations are examples of object oriented ways of representation. While in procedural oriented programming language, we follow a step by step or sequential approach. Step 1, start. After that, what to do. Next, what to do. Like that, we go procedure by procedure. So that is an idea regarding the difference between procedural oriented as well as object oriented concept. Here you can see a detailed description of the differences between procedure oriented and object oriented. This is a summary of what we have seen in the last two slides. The first difference is in procedure oriented program is divided into parts known as methods, functions or procedures, while in object oriented language program is divided into parts known as objects. And what is this object? We will see it later. Importance is given to functions and not the data in procedure oriented, while in object oriented, importance is given to the data. Like we have seen, customer, it is a data, account, then money, all that data is given importance in object oriented rather than the procedures like withdraw, transfer, etc. Now, coming on to the next difference, we know from the example we might have seen that these procedure oriented language are not related to real world much, whereas object oriented languages are having a close connection with a real world object. Next is procedure oriented implements a top down approach while object oriented implements a bottom up approach. I think it will not be clear until I explain to you what is top-down approach and what is bottom-up approach. We shall move to the next concept. This is an example of top-down approach. Here you can see it is an example of a C program, which is a procedure-oriented program. Here, from the main, we are dividing the main into different functions. From this function 1, again we are subdividing it into different modules. So level 0, we are having only one main function, that is the top part. From that top part, we are going into module wise. It is divided into 4 modules. Again, the first module is again divided into 3 modules. That like we are moving downwards. This approach is what we mean by a top-down approach. Now, what is this bottom-up approach? Here, in this picture, you can see this is our main function. This product, object, etc. contribute together to make the main function. So the main is built up with the help of some additional functions or classes, or we can call it as objects. This is what we mean by bottom-up approach. So in procedure-oriented language, we are having a top-down approach, while in object-oriented concept, we are having a bottom-up approach. Next important thing or difference between procedure oriented and object oriented is that procedure oriented, the security factor is very less when compared to object oriented, that is OOPS concept. And the last point is you can see some examples listed here. C, Fortran, Pascal, etc. are some examples of procedure-oriented language, while C++, Java are examples of object-oriented language. We know object-oriented, we call it also as OOP concepts. Now, we are moving into OOPS, that means object-oriented programming concept. What are the main concepts in object-oriented programming? The important properties of OOPS are listed here: classes, data abstraction, encapsulation, information hiding, inheritance, and polymorphism. So, I will tell you just a bit about all these properties of OOPS. First of all, coming on to classes. What do you mean by a class? In this figure, you can see three different blocks. We can think of each of this particular block as a class. For example, if car is a class, the attributes or the characteristics of car can be said as speed and fuel. And the operations that we can perform may be get the speed, get the fuel, or print the speed or print the fuel. So here the car is a class, and that particular class is having its own attributes and its own operations. Like that person, we can see person also as a class. And what are the attributes? We can say name and age as two attributes of a person, and we can associate some functions also with that particular class. So a class is defined in OOP concept like a consolidated thing where it is having a class name like a car and some attributes of that like speed and fuel, and some operations, that is what we call as methods or member functions like get speed and get fuel. So this is regarding a class. What is the concept of class? So class relates an programming language very much to a real world thing. Now coming on to data abstraction. We know the word meaning abstract. Abstract means just the essence. We are presenting only the essence to the outer world. That makes the property data abstraction. Now coming upon to the next property of OOP, encapsulation. Encapsulation is defined as the wrapping up of data and functions together into one module. Again, we shall see this particular example. Here you can see inside a class, the attributes of the class as well as the functions that we can perform on the class are wrapped up together. This concept is what we mean by encapsulation. Now the next one is information hiding. Information hiding means we are hiding the less important data from the end user. Only what is important to the end user is given to him, and all the rest information are made hidden. It may be for privacy or maybe for avoiding ambiguity. Okay, coming on to the next concept, inheritance. Inheritance, there are different types of inheritance in OOP concepts. You might have heard like that. You might have heard that like single inheritance is there, multiple, multi-level inheritance, hierarchical, hybrid, like that. Many type of inheritance are there. And what does this inheritance means? Inheritance is one property of object-oriented programming language which helps code reusability. And what does this code reusability mean? That means in the inheritance concept, we are having a parent class and a child class. And as we know, the child will inherit some characteristic from the parent. Like that, the child class can inherit some codes or some properties of the parent class. This property is what we call as inheritance, and this is not a simple topic. We are having wide ranges of subdivisions coming in the inheritance property. Now coming on to the next one, polymorphism. We all know what morphing is. Morphing means we are changing one form to another, changing the face of a person. That we know it is called as morphing. In polymorphism, I will give you an example. For example, if I am taking the plus operator, we know 2 plus 3. Integer value 2 plus integer value 3 will give you the result 5. So there, plus is actually an arithmetic operator, plus. Now, if I am writing a string operation like hi plus good morning, what will be the result? Hi, good morning. So there, the plus is acting as a concatenation operator, string concatenation operator. So here, if I am using it, the plus operator, if I am using it with two integer values, it will give me the sum 2 plus 3 equal to 5. If I am using the plus operator in between two strings, it will do concatenation. So one single operator is behaving in different ways when we are applying it in different contexts. That is what we mean by polymorphism. So these are the important properties of object-oriented programming language. Now, coming on to Java. Now we are entering to the concept Java programming language. We know Java is getting popular in many areas. We can apply it in many areas like web servers, application servers, enterprise applications, scientific areas, graphical user interface applications, mobile, embedded system, web applications, etc. And coming on to the features of Java, we might have heard that Java can be used as a cross-platform independent language. It is object-oriented, and we have seen the concepts of object-oriented programming language. We are having a multi-threaded capability in Java. Java is more secure. It helps in distributed computing. It is a database-driven programming language, etc. Like that. Many features are there for Java. But here, I would like to draw your attention into one important concept, the secure feature of Java, as well as one more thing, write once and run anywhere property of Java. So first we shall see how the compilation is happening in Java. Here you can see a source file, that is the portion where I am writing the Java program. So here I have written the Java code hello.java, and there is a compiler javac which compiles this source code, and that source code will get converted to a bytecode, and this is our class file. This bytecode will be given to Java Virtual Machine, that is what we call as JVM, Java Virtual Machine. This Java Virtual Machine can pass this bytecode to any platform like Windows, Linux or Macs, and that is why we are calling it as a write once, but you can run it anywhere. Like here also you can see there is a source code. After compilation, it will get translated to a bytecode, that is our class file in Java. And this class file can be run in any platform like Windows, Linux, OS 6 or Android, any platform. And that's why we are calling Java as a write once, you can run it anywhere programming language. That's all for today's class. The next sessions we can see further details regarding Java programming language. Thank you.